Have you ever heard this? Or this? Or this? Well, today I'm answering the tragic tale of what happened to those songs and the game that was behind them. Furcorn's Jelly Dreams was a puzzle game that had a lush world thrown in with all of the monsters that we all know and love. And the main reason why Furcorn's Jelly Dreams saw up to its popularity rise that it saw inside of 2014, a year after its release in beta, was certainly because of the wonderful songs they had. As you guys heard in the beginning, Furcorn's Jelly Dreams had a wonderful soundtrack and incorporated the My Singing Monsters brand in a style that we'd never seen before. While yes, we've had wonderful predecessors to My Singing Monsters, including Dawn of Fire, that have introduced us to even more songs, this was a whole new kind of take on it. It was remixing the original Natural Island songs and presenting them in a way that we'd never seen before, so this was a really exciting moment. For Furcorn's Jelly Dreams though, there was no community interaction that was happening at the time. There was no My Singing Monsters Live, and there was no Twitter responses or anything like that from Big Blue Bubble, the people who make My Singing Monsters. So at the time, there was absolutely no communication happening. And when this cool game released in its beta state over in Canada, lots of people and fans inside of the community spotted it and just absolutely fell in love with it. After falling in love with it, a big question started to rise though. What is happening with the future of this game? It hadn't been updated in quite a while when it was found in 2014, so everyone was quite curious as towards what the fate was behind this game. Surely it could be going global soon and it'd be released on all the app stores. That's what you'd think at the time, of course. There was no interaction between the company, so there was no way of knowing what the future held for this game. And therefore, little old MPG, yes, imagine me but younger, took matters into his own hands. Now, I would definitely not do anything like this as of right now, but little old MPG, imagine me but younger, let's put it on screen right now, went ahead and made a live stream and a huge surge of videos focused on hashtag Make Furcorn's Jelly Dreams Global, with the main mission being to make this game global. Little did we know though the fate that this game had had. Now, I asked everyone across everywhere, social media, the support thing, to just ask Big Blue Bubble what had happened, and they responded. They responded that Furcorn's Jelly Dreams was cancelled before its launch and turned into Jammer Splash, and that they believed that it didn't quite fit into the My Singing Monsters brand. But the tragic tale doesn't quite end there, and this is something that is quite left behind, I do think, when it comes to the tragic tale of Furcorn's Jelly Dreams, as we're dubbing it quite mischievously inside of the title. Whilst yes, it did turn into Jammer Splash, the exact reason as to why it did is something that isn't talked about amongst in the community, so today I want to change that very fact. Now, Furcorn's Jelly Dreams left behind a lot of features when it was cancelled, including Air Island, which we heard in the beginning thanks to the jukebox, Water Island, Earth Island, and the mysterious Ethereal Island, which we can only see from this image on screen right now. We also left behind Woobox, tons of power-ups, and loads of other cool things that were planned for the game. So yes, it is very unfortunate that we never got to see anything like this. But let's go into the reasons behind its discontinuation now and why we never got to see these things. So on the website, which they published and put absolutely everywhere, including in-game and on their social media channels, they put exactly the reason why Furcorn's Jelly Dreams was cancelled. They put that they were listening to user feedback for mobile games, and that's why they opened up the beta in the first place for Furcorn's Jelly Dreams. However, they found that some players were having issues, particularly behind the difficulty of the game and the mechanics, which I can very much get behind. Furcorn's Jelly Dreams was no park ride. I can give you that much, guys. If it would have continued, I don't know how much harder that would have got, to be quite honest with you guys. However, they mentioned how the art style was praised and its music and its uniqueness, which was exactly the points as towards why the game is so much beloved inside of the community. However, in the end, these features were definitely not enough to make them continue developing the game, and thus they cancelled the game, having carried out the beta, and made the decision, as it mentions on their website, to take the feedback from the beta and to put some of the popular design choices from Jelly Dreams into Jammer Splash. And then they go on about the significance of beta testing and why it's important so that we can get the best product in the end. Now, specifically with this, I want to go into on to this last proposition that was made here. While many people, yes, understand that Furcorn's Jelly Dreams was a part of the development process, I want to talk about here them specifically mentioning that they took some of the popular design choices from Jelly Dreams into Jammer Splash. If they were going to take all of the popular features that everyone liked from Furcorn's Jelly Dreams all the way over into Jammer Splash as they're proposing they did here, why on earth did Jammer Splash change so much? If we're going to Jammer Splash, you can see it as a whole new world art style, no kind of music in the way that Furcorn's Jelly Dreams does, and it doesn't captivate on what the My Singing Monsters franchise actually is in you collecting monsters overall so that you can branch out into this wonderful song. That's what the essence of My Singing Monsters is. If you put it down in words, that's exactly what you'd write, isn't it? So when they're saying they took the favourite features here, I fail to understand what they meant by that. In carrying out the beta, obviously, they were trying to, weren't they, work out what would be best for the franchise overall. However, they chose specifically to go against that and introduce features that weren't popular inside of the reviews. Now, you're going to have to trust me on this one, as I read through those reviews, and let me tell you, every single one was pointing out the wonderful music, the wonderful world, but, of course, the mechanics being hard. It's unfortunately not available now, so I can't put them on screen, but you're going to have to take my word for that. But my main takeaway from this is, why were those features left out from Jammer Splash if they were so much beloved? And they made the beta in the first place to try and work out what features would work inside of a My Singing Monsters puzzle game title. It's the brand, it's My Singing Monsters, and it confuses me why this was the case. And while Jammer Splash is 100% fun, I don't think it replicates the brand as well to me as what Furcorn's Jelly Dreams does, and I will always treasure Furcorn's Jelly Dreams for what it could have been. Jammer Splash, yes, has very much better gameplay, but Furcorn's Jelly Dreams is in my heart because it captures the My Singing Monsters brand, the absolute best over anything that Jammer Splash has done. The merging of the mechanics behind Jammer Splash and Furcorn's Jelly Dreams, I think, would have been the most perfect solution. Carry over Jammer Splash's mechanics whilst also remaining true to the features that remained in Furcorn's Jelly Dreams, like the initial proposal that was made here, I feel like would have led to a much more successful conclusion from the arisal of Jammer Splash. And although the fate of Furcorn's Jelly Dreams is a little sad, we've got to bring up the jukebox, as the jukebox features all the Furcorn's Jelly Dreams songs, and therefore Furcorn's Jelly Dreams will always be remembered. I've got to say though too, if it wasn't for this Furcorn's Jelly Dreams getting cancelled, I feel like we wouldn't have led ourselves to the point that we're at now, where we're just getting loads of My Singing Monsters content in the original game, and ultimately therefore the best path was chosen, as My Singing Monsters is always at the centre of mine, and I'm sure yours, hearts. And without this new content, I don't know where we'd be at, because it's My Singing Monsters. You capture the original game, and bringing out updates to that is always the best solution. What did you think about this rather convoluted story that I got myself in a twist in? Definitely let me know down below. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like down below and to subscribe too. I'll see you later though, guys, for now. Bye.